Hi everyone. So today we are going to write to explain. So if our first week of writing, we wrote to describe. So we included all senses, sight, sound, taste, touch, smell. We keep those skills and then we add on more by explaining how. And this gets into the W's: who, what, when, where, how, why. Right? Writing to explain is one of the biggest skills that you'll carry with you no matter what job you go into. And it is something that even people who work in computers and software and things like that, who think, oh, AI can do this for me, it cannot. It cannot explain as well as a human can. And as a point of example, my husband works not as a teacher, but as a software engineer. And AI can't explain how to fix things and how to organize things. So humans still have to do this. This is a very much secure thing you will need for your job, no matter what your job is, I promise. Okay? Especially if you want to be the boss of whatever that job is. And so the first thing you're doing is you're watching the lecture video. Thanks. When we're done talking about what the assignment is for today and you've made it through the lecture, you're going to type in here. You'll be able to do that on your Word document or your Google document, and then you're going to turn in this whole gray colored document, not a separate box, not a separate doc, okay? Make sure that you also watch the YouTube video about explaining. I think it just gives you some nice background. And then down here, you're going to type one thing you noticed from the video. If the link doesn't work for whatever reason, please let me know. Our essential question for today is, how do we explain? We're going to read a short story / essay called How to Eat a Rattlesnake. John Paul Bremer is an amazing author. I think he has a good sense of humor, but it's longer because this is a college class and you have to be able to read a long essay. He published it not too long ago, and I hope you enjoy reading it. If you've never thought about eating rattlesnakes, or if you don't eat meat, and I'm apologizing here, I want you to watch this video and ask yourself, would I eat this? I want you to type your response anywhere here. See, type it in. Would you eat this? And you can tell me if and when and why you would eat a rattlesnake. I know that you've watched other how-to videos. This is a how-to video. This is an explaining video. How to cook a rattlesnake. Gross, I know. When you go through YouTube to learn how to do something from a video, what do you want that video to include? I want you to think about that. Let's make a list. And so some things I would want the video to include, right? It needs to have clear steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We call that enumeration when we number out the steps. I love that. I think also I want to know what order I need to do things and the materials I need. So if I'm going to watch a how-to video about changing a tire and all of a sudden in the middle they tell me I need to go get some sort of wrench, that would have been nice to know earlier, right? What are some other things you've noticed you like when you watch how-to videos? Okay. And if you've never seen one, like Google some how-to videos. It's a rabbit hole. You can go down it. How to eat a rattlesnake is not like a how-to video, like this cooking video. It is not a how-to essay in that it's a little bit creative how it gets there, but I still think it's really beautiful. John Paul Bremer wrote Hola Papi, which is a great book of short essays. I listened to the audiobook from the library, strongly recommend it. And this is one of the essays he wrote. And so he writes about eating snake in Oklahoma, right? And how brave it was. And you may have seen versions of this in other places where you've lived. In Belize and in Guatemala, where my husband grew up, you even could have mezcal or tequila that had, or rum, if you're closer to the Caribbean, that had snakes inside of it. And it was supposed to be a very manly thing. Or, brave thing to drink the tequila or rum, depending on where you were. So there are kind of foods like this in the world. And I think he writes about it in kind of a funny way. He uses some language you might not have ever heard of. If you right-click the words and you have your PDF version open, you should be able to use Google to look it up, and that's completely fine. I recommend keeping a list of words you like. That's usually how our vocabularies grow when we're adults, right? He's going to write about being a kid, right? And how he was treated sometimes differently than other kids, and how his Uncle John tried to change him a little bit. He describes his Uncle John, right? And he describes events that he went to with Uncle John and eating a snake for the first time, right? He gives lots of examples and details from last time: taste, touch, sense, smell. But in addition, he also gives kind of his worldview of like why he chooses to eat the snake, right? And it's a longer piece of reading. I really recommend that you take the time to read it. And if it's easier for you, print it and read it. Okay. And that's totally fine. There's printing in the library that's pretty inexpensive. I made the font large so it feels longer maybe than it actually is. He explains how he came to eat the snake and how he was proud of that wisdom. And it's a very creative essay about how to do something, right? If you were expecting step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, like it's college is a little more challenging than that, right? But that doesn't mean you can't share a step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, right? I think the fact that he doesn't give us a simple sit down, cut the snake, eat it with a fork actually shows that he's being a little more creative and a little more thoughtful, right? Here are our topics that we're going to think about this week to help us understand the reading. How does he appeal to our emotions? How did it make you feel? It's called read a response, right? Does he give any like factual details? And he kind of does, and he weaves them into his story, right? Does he have experts? For him, it's a family member. Why do you think he chose that person, right? Is this more of an academic essay or is it more of a personal essay, right? Do you trust him? Does this make you believe him the way he writes? Does it make him seem trustworthy, right? Do you think he's saying something persuasive or something believable about masculinity, about bravery, about experiences being important? What do you think? Just like before, I'm going to ask you to pick one question to answer here. And if you type it in there, then you're good when you turn in the file. It's all there. Okay? He uses lots of detailed sensory descriptions, just like last week. He uses words with strong positive and negative connotations. He gives us emotions, and this word might be a review from high school, so we're not going to dig too deep into it. But I love this word, juxtaposition. He compares things side by side, right? And particularly himself with other people, right? He cites his family. We're not getting research and references and footnotes. We'll see more of that later in the semester. He doesn't give us a ton of statistics, but he does give us his own testimony. And I love this word, appositives. I don't think you're going to see a ton, but what you might see definitely is pathos and juxtaposition. Try to describe how it's used in the text, right? So you won't find the word pathos in the essay, just so you know, but you'll look for emotional moments. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if it doesn't. So just go back and review it after you read it, okay? If you want to read something else because you really didn't like the how to eat, right, rattlesnake, this short essay, it's a PDF, has a really different tone. It's how to say a prayer before you eat. If that's not really your vibe, it's okay. But I think it's also very pretty. And I think it does have some nice examples of how to explain. The how-to essay is special. It's your chance to explain, right? Scientists, researchers, lots of future jobs have the how-to. Next week, you're going to edit this to add more details. It's going to be your first polished writing assignment. I'm really excited for you. So here's your prompt in the box below. Teach me how to do something. It can be creative, like how to run for prom queen if that's something you've done and you have a good story. Or it can be more factual, right? How to make pozole, right? Somebody taught me how to draw blood from the back of a person's hand. That's really tricky to do. Yikes. Right? One person knew how to develop photos from film, so they explained that. I want you to choose something that you know how to do that you can explain to do without Googling it. And the reason why is because next week when you make it beautiful, I'm going to ask for a picture of you doing the thing. Right. And so if you can't actually do the thing, it won't work. And then you won't have a picture and you won't get credit. And I don't want you to fail. 600 words is like 2 meaty paragraphs. Don't count word for word for word for word. Okay. It's not that serious. But we need like 2 big chunks, right? Don't be stingy. Use spell check on Google Docs or on Word. You don't need to use AI. You can turn it in the box down below. I will ask you to include a photo next week based on this, and we're going to make it better. So please make sure that you try your best and that it's something you actually do. If you have questions, comments, concerns, please email me. But I'm excited to hear your story of how to do something and maybe even why it matters to you. Take a look at the samples and you can use them as references if you'd like. And I'm happy to meet with you if you're very confused. I hope you have a good time with it.